find your flow, follow the map. Mile high dreaming's got your back.
Who feels already like they have chaos in their org? Too many. Oh, good. Okay. And the rest of you aren't there yet, which is great. You took over a new org, or a small org, and you don't have chaos yet. So we're going to stop that from happening. That's what we're going to do. All right. Boy, this is what happens when you get a good title. You get a lot of people here at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's a little bit of a bait and switch. Probably not 4 permission sets. Actually, as I was going through the slides and building this presentation, you might actually only need 3. Not going to lie. But we'll stick with 4. First, we're going to thank our sponsors. Hopefully you guys have met them all already at this point. If not, be sure to check them out. We really appreciate what they do for us to put this on. And they want to help you solve your problems. So go tell them your problems. They have solutions. They're really good at what they do. My name's Kenny. I'm a senior solution architect at Young Life. I've been in software development for about 20 years. I've been in Salesforce for about 8 years. .NET, Salesforce, DevOps, and mostly I like helping teams get better at getting better. So these days it's a lot about architecture and good practices and patterns. Before we get too far into it, I want to acknowledge the work of Mike Reynolds and Joy Shutters-Helbing. Go look up their content on this same permission set stuff. They've been doing some great things over the past couple years. They've got a podcast called The Jam. And in fact, season 1, episode 1 was all about perm sets. So really great content. They're both MVPs, really active in the space. So do want to appreciate what they've done. Let's meet Sparky. This is Sparky. Sparky's going to be our guide on our journey through organizing our permission sets and taming the chaos. Sparky's got a challenge. Sparky's challenge is to build a new volunteers management app. I come from a nonprofit. We do a lot with donors and volunteers. So Sparky's got to build a volunteers management app. Sparky knows that he should set up least privilege access. Sparky wants composable, wants to follow Salesforce well-architected best practices. And most of all, Sparky wants to make his future self happy and his life easy and all the admins that come after him. Okay, right away, Sparky faces some questions. Do I build new perm sets? Can I reuse perm sets that I already have? How do I keep it scalable so it can grow and still easy to maintain? Before we dive into that, I want to remind you of something. Someone once said, there are only 2 hard things, this is a paraphrase, there are only 2 hard things in technology. One of them is naming things. If you know what the other 2 are, come talk to me after. I've got a special prize for you. You heard me correctly. How many believe this? How many people believe it is really hard to name things? Okay, the rest of you will. It's all right. If you've been doing this for a while, this is encouragement and a warning. Naming things is just naming things. It's all right. It's simple. We come up with really good conventions. Surprise, this presentation is just about naming things. It's about coming up with a good convention that you can follow to make it easier for yourself and the others around you. But also naming things can be really hard. I have many, many, many conversations when we're doing solution architecture about what to call something, and yet it's just about naming things. This is not a high technology problem. This is about conventions, okay? And you're gonna thank yourself for coming up with good conventions. There are only 2 hard things in technology. One of them is naming things. Okay, back to Sparky. All orgs start small. Right? All of them start small. Raise your hand if you're in an org with at least 10 permission sets. All right. Keep it up for 20 permission sets. Who's got 50? Oh, she's okay. It's like feels like eBay now. Like 50, 75, over 100 permission sets. All right, you're in the right spot. If you didn't raise your hand for any of those, you're still in the right spot because you're going to go meet some of those people and say, boy, how do you reuse permission sets? Do you have a mess? How do you tame the chaos? So if you don't have 50 or 20 or 10 yet, go talk to those people around you and ask, how do you name things? How do we avoid getting into that problem where we have hundreds and hundreds of permission sets? Okay? They're overlapping. We don't know what they do. We have to keep creating new ones because we can't reuse the ones we have, right? That's what happens when we don't have a good naming convention. We have profiles that are trying to do too much. They're unclear. It's hard to maintain, hard to scale, hard to audit. You've heard about some recent security problems in other folks' Salesforce orgs. This is going to help you. It's going to make your auditors happy. Here's the solution. It's easy, simple. It's no big deal. Domain plus scope. So this is a framework. This is a convention I'm suggesting works for 90+% of us. It's a new naming convention. It is. I got you. This is not profound. You haven't even heard of the 4 yet. That's the next slide. It's coming, and then we're done. And I'm at 6.5 minutes, I promise. Domain. What's a domain? This is your area. This is the thing. This is the app. This is, in Sparky's case, it's the volunteers management app. This might be HR. This might be finance. This might be back-end something. This might be front-end something. This is your naming problem. This is it. This is the only problem you have to solve. You solve this problem, everything else is easy. Every permission set that you have and that you will need to have in the future can be broken down into the domain plus the scope. We're going to talk about scope in a second. Scope is what level of access. Domain. When you get back, think about the domain. Think about which domains you have. Is this a volunteers management app? Is this sales operations? Is this an HR screening app? Is this managing mobile content or CRM content? Defining your domains is going to be the hardest part of this. And that's it. That's the only hard part of this. After that, everything else is easy. I promise. You can send me hate mail if it's not. Do send me hate mail and we'll work through it together. It's okay. Volunteers, events, HR screening. It's the functional area that someone needs access to. Are we good? Yeah? Domain? Okay, this is the only hard slide. This is the only hard one. Okay. We take a domain, we define our domain, and we have scope. Scope's the easy one. Here's your 4. This is it. You can take a picture if you want. You probably don't even, because you're going to remember this when you leave. These scopes apply to every org, to every app domain you have. Surprise, those are the 4. I know you were waiting for like fireworks and like, oh, it's 4. He's going to fix all of my problems with hundreds of perm sets. This will, I promise. You're like, wait, that was a bait and switch. That was a lie. I don't really need 4. No, you need 4 per domain. That's the lie right there. But I think they all fit in this. We've been using this at Young Life for a while now, and it's pretty good. It's all right. Young Life, we've got 6,000 users, 60,000 portal users. We've got, I don't know, tens of thousands of lines of code, probably hundreds of thousands of lines of code. This works. I'm going to start at the bottom. Your scope is read-only. Pretty self-explanatory. Read-only is great for reporting. Read-only is great for API access, if anybody's building integrations. Read-only is necessary for people who need to see something but not do anything with it over there, right? They're not going to touch and do things in our volunteers management app, but they might need to see that information. They might need to do reports on that information. They want to query it and put it on dashboards. A user gets just enough permissions to do their job. Okay, this isn't a user object. This isn't a user login to your system. What we mean is the domain user, the CRM user, the sales operations user. In our Sparky's case, the volunteers management app user. Okay? They're going to be able to create, edit, view Lightning Web Components, Apex class permissions. That's probably an edge case for many of us. Okay, that's most of your, that's it. You only have 2 perm sets. Maybe you get away with that. Those of us who have less than 50 already, less than 20. Okay, we often need a manager, someone who can do a little extra stuff to help out. It's got a little more visibility, can create, edit, probably delete something, can do as much as a user can, but they need to manage this system. They need to manage this new application. They're the one you start calling when I need to do a little extra, or somebody needs to see something that, or they have to clean up some data. That's really common. And of course, we have admin. And I don't mean sysadmin, though this would fit, okay? I don't mean admin administrators, certified admins. I mean an admin of this part of your system. Okay, this is the one they call when the data's all messed up and they need to fix something. So yeah, that's your system admins. That's you guys. But in your system, if it's HR, if it's finance, let's delegate some of that so it's not you getting those phone calls all the time, right? We can have that admin user. in that part of the system, that domain. So we've got our domains, we've named them, we've sat down, we've thought about the boundaries of those domains, and we have scopes. Good news, scopes don't change. If you got your domains, you're done. These write themselves. If you stick to these four, you'll cover nearly every business scenario without creating that chaos. We know what perm sets go with our domain. We don't have to reinvent it every single time. And the people that come after you see your list of perm sets, like, oh, I know what's in those. A couple examples. Hope it's becoming obvious at this point. Maybe we've defined our domain as sales operations. It's got some forms, it's got some layouts, it's got objects with that. And I've got users in that for sure. So we've got a sales ops user. That's my permission set. That's a good name for a permission set, isn't it? I like that name. It tells me what level of access, what the scope is, and it tells me the boundaries of the domain that perm set applies to. Are you going to have overlapping perm sets? Yeah. Is that going to be okay? That's going to be okay. You're going to have overlapping perm sets to especially your hero objects, probably. User, contact, account, case. That's okay. Because when that person ceases working in that domain, you take that perm set away, they must still be working in another domain, and they retain access to accounts or cases. That's okay. But by putting it in this domain, it's very easy to see what people have access to, and we're going to build those up. Okay? Oof. I know you guys have these. I know you guys have these kinds of permission sets. Super user. Who's got a super user permission set? Yep. I knew it was out there. What the heck is a super user? You got 4 super. What the heck is a super user? That means something different to me than it does to you. Is that an admin? Can they do everything? No, they can't do everything. That's just for admins. They're a super user. Global access, that's a favorite one. Does that mean globally? Like they have access to data from all over the world? Young Life, we operate in over 100 countries. We have data that represents things all over the world. So if that my global access is around the world, or is global everything? Again, is that the same as super user? Okay, you can see why this makes it very difficult for you to reuse what you have, and certainly for somebody else to come in after you and figure out what on earth do I use super user for? And so you're scared to use it again, and so you don't use it, and you just create more permission sets. Am I right? Am I right? Oh, that's nice. This is chaos. This is not chaos. This is a naming convention. That's it. This is a class on naming conventions. I know you're disappointed. That's all it is. We've got reports, admin. I've got an HR screening user. We've removed ambiguity. We don't need to be creative with our names. Creativity is not clean. Creativity is ambiguous. Creativity means I have to have tribal knowledge. I have to have training. I have to have knowledge transfer. Ugh, I hate that word. Tame the chaos. Okay, you defined your domains. I told you the scopes. You knew that before you got in here. You just needed me to tell you. Is there a question? 5 minutes. That's all right. We're going to be okay. Because I'm almost done. That was really it. If you're not using permission set groups, you should be using permission set groups. This is a wonderful abstraction that Salesforce gives us. You define your domains, you got your scopes, you have permission sets that make sense. And we're going to put those together into permission set groups so that people can actually use them. Okay? We're in our volunteers management app. We've focused on 4 perm sets that are going to govern the whole domain of our volunteers management app. I have 2. We'll call them personas. You'll see personas in the documentation. They're a person. It's a job. It's a role. It's a person. We're not going to get worried about that. I've got a volunteer coordinator who needs to do everything about the job of managing volunteers, but they're not an admin. They're going to get that volunteers user perm set. We've got somebody else over in HR who cares about volunteers, but it's not their job to manage volunteers, but they certainly want read. They need to do reports. They need to do queries. They need to understand the data that's coming out of the work of managing volunteers. I've got other domains, right? It's not just 4. It's 4 per domain. I know. You're like, he lied to me. I got up at 8 o'clock to do this, and he lied. So maybe I've got an events app, too, that I have. In my HR screening, they needed to read that volunteer's information, but they have their own domain, HR screening. They can build and edit reports over here. Okay, so we're going to take our permission sets, we're going to put them in permission set groups, and remember, you can assign multiple groups to an actual user. That's how we build this up. That's how we make it scalable. That's how we make it make sense and easy to maintain in the future. Sparky's a hero. You're a hero. You've got a simple convention. It's composable. That's well-architected. Go to the well-architected framework. We love composable things. Things that make sense that we can put together into bigger things, into useful things. It's easy to maintain. When we add new users, when we add new personas, we have existing permission sets we can reuse. Okay? This is easy to scale and maintain. This is a least privilege model. That's a good thing. So when you go back and your execs and your auditors or a security person come in, hey, Salesforce got breached over there with those other people. We're not going to do that, right? And you say, no, we have a least privilege model. Say it with me, least privilege model. Okay? You're going to want to remember that. That's it. Almost. There's questions, there's concerns. I know you're like, that's not going to work for me. How do I make it work for me? Right? The hundreds of perm sets, right? I know. It's too rigid. I can't fit everything into 4. You probably can. Hear me in the back of your mind. You probably can. Composable is flexible. This actually opens the doors when you understand your perm sets, when you have unambiguous perm sets. This is flexible. It really is. What about exceptions? Oh, there's never exceptions. No one ever has exceptions. Okay, if you're trying to implement this just came to me recently, and you're finding a lot of exceptions, you probably have the wrong domains. Naming things is hard. You probably have not named the right domain. If you're like, yeah, I built 4 for this app, for my volunteers, but I had to add this one, I had to add this, and I had to add this. You probably have a different domain. Maybe my volunteers management app has a front end and a back end. Maybe there's back office work. It's okay to make that another domain. That's okay. That's the creative part, okay? That's the part that's going to be specific to your org. If you find yourself trying to do this and you have too many exceptions, you probably have the wrong domains. Well, we hired consultants and they just named it whatever the heck they wanted to. If you're a consultant, ask them if they have a naming convention. One more tip for consultants. Don't put the company's name at the beginning of the perm set. They already own it. It's theirs. Just because that helps you remember who it goes to doesn't help them later. They already own that perm set, okay? If you have a naming convention in your org already, you make your consultants follow that, and they'd be happy to. Most consultants walk in and there are no standards and no naming conventions, and they're doing the best with what they can. If you're a consultant, use this naming convention. I didn't copyright it. What about system permissions? Yeah, I know. Here's an exception. System permissions can go into those other perm sets. That's okay. If you're finding that that's getting really confusing, a common convention that a lot of people are adopting is to have a granular system permission prefixed with the name system. And we add that to the group. So go back to the group, and they may also get a system permission, but it's easy to see and it's easy to manage, and it's not just embedded everywhere. System permissions, I give you permission to create exceptions for system permissions. But if you can fit them into those perm sets, that's better. That's okay too. Real quick, we're going to acknowledge the profile problem. We are bound to profiles still. But nowhere in here, if I said add permissions to profiles, you're not doing that anymore, right? You're moving them all to perm sets, right? Right. With this pattern, our profiles are still necessary for defaults, right? Until they give us something else to replace that, we can't get rid of profiles. Profiles are necessary. But when you look at that profile screen, there's 2 sections, right? One is just about profiles, and the other is everything about your perm set. So stop using that on profiles and move that to the perm set. Profiles are what we're stuck with. So we put our default things in a profile and we add those permissions with perm sets. We'll acknowledge this. We need to be migrating. Here's a suggested thing. This may or may not work for you. I get it. This is how I think about it. This is how we're starting to get off of all of our profiles. First, build those perm sets. So you have a place to put the profile permissions, right? Build out those perm sets. Think about the domains you have. Start putting people into those, and then break up your profiles. Okay, it's real easy to convert a profile to a perm set temporarily. Put that in your group. It's okay. This is not a prescription on how to get off of profiles. This is about how to build those perm sets. But this is flexible. Once you have these new perm sets defined, it makes it a lot easier to get off that profile because you can see where those people need to go. You can see how to build up those groups and those personas. Manage group assignments with user access policy, Flow, Apex. Automate the heck out of that. It's going to save you a ton of time. This is not a class on user access policy, though. That's a fantastic tool. Use other tools like metadata, security design, gear set. There's tools out there to help with this. This is not about that. I will point out, if you're comfortable with metadata, that's a really neat opportunity because you can copy and paste. You get your perm set as a text file, as an XML file, and you can duplicate it. You can delete things. You can copy and paste. So if you're comfortable with that, do that. If you're not, ignore me. Keep it simple. It's just about naming things. It's just a naming convention. But I think it works for a lot. I think having any naming convention, even if it's a bad one, is better than no naming convention at all. Okay? It's gonna help, right? This is gonna evolve. I'll see you back here in a few years and be like, yeah, that was a bad idea. No, I think naming conventions are always a good idea. Naming things is hard. It's one of the two hardest things in building systems in architecture. If you don't believe me, I'll see you next year, and you will. Define your domains. If it's getting hard and it's weird, you probably have the wrong domains. Think about that. Just take a step back. Do I need a different domain? Do I need another domain? Do I need to break this apart? I think this works for new orgs. Get started on the right path. You may end up with 40 or 50 perm sets, but you're going to know what they are. They're going to sort alphabetically. You're going to know how to build those into groups. If you have a lot of perm sets, you're going to have to create a few more around. It's like cleaning the garage. It gets a little messy at first, and then you can start deleting those old perm sets like super user. Doesn't make any sense. You probably don't need 80 perm sets. You need building blocks. Okay? Introduce source control and metadata tools when you're ready. If you have people that are comfortable with that, I think it makes this easier too. That's all I got. I think I have 1 minute here. So we'll do questions real quick.
For orgs where you have crazy changes in business processes, United States versus Japan versus China because of cultural differences, do you have any tricks to try to get your business management people all on the same page for business processes so you don't have to go the permission set route with all the one-offs?
So the question was about business processes in a global environment that have differences. Maybe let's talk about that separate, because I'm not sure I understand exactly how your business processes are relating to the perm sets. But I think it's a question about domains, probably, right? Is that kind of where it is?
Domains don't work. So if you have payment terms that operate differently for China because they're stricter about their payment terms than the United States, then now I have users that aren't supposed to do it in one area but are supposed to do it in another.
Interesting. Yeah, let's talk on the side about that. I think I have a couple ideas, but I'm not sure yet.
So when you talked about the default of the profiles, I understand that. Why would we just make a permission set like company basics and give that to every?
Sure. Great point. The question was, what defaults are we putting into profiles that we can't put into permission sets, or a base permission set sort of a situation? Yeah, Mike and Joy actually talk a lot about a base permission set, and I'll wrap up here, that can be useful for a department-wide or org-wide. They and I have a little bit different take on that a little bit. So you will hear that. That is very common. If that works for your org, that's great. What I was referring to in profile defaults is things that only the profile supports, with things like layouts and stuff like that that are user defaults, not CRUD, create, read, update, delete, access.
Can I follow that up with, do you suggest having an org that has lots of different profiles? Like the way that I build mine out, I have a profile for essentially each license. It's a platform.
Interesting.
Company platform.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then everything is the permissions.
I am actually out of time, but I'd love to talk about it. The question was, how many profiles then? How many profiles do you have, and how granular are the profiles? It's a great question. I'd actually love to hear about that. So thanks for coming. Thanks for getting up early and being here. Appreciate it.
Follow the map. Mile high dreaming's got your